Welcome back to the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Jed Everbro-Shears. As you guys know, if you've watched any of the videos, you'll have an idea about what the Maturity Project is and the 8 different areas of maturity and all of that. But what I really wanted to talk about today is just, I really enjoy and I regularly am seeking out good people doing good things. And the determinations that I have when it comes to good people doing good things is where, somebody who is an activated mentor. And a lot of people that are activated mentors don't realize they're mentors, like they're mentoring people. I was speaking with somebody yesterday that'll be a guest in an upcoming show, and she was talking about having a unofficial mentor and wasn't sure, if a lot of people do that or not. And, to the best of that conversation's recollection. But still, it left me with every degree of success. There's a desire to share it to an extent, and sometimes we get that beat down because, other people take advantage of people. But there's still, the mentor will always seek the mentee. It's just some of these mentors have been abused to the extent that they don't even actively have a radar for a mentee anymore. But my experience is anybody that I've talked to that has achieved success in any area of life, if you show interest in that area, then they're very likely to want to give you the insight on how to be successful there. At least the rudimentary fundamentals that so many people don't recognize. And in myself, my own development in my life, I did not get that type of mentorship. So it's not knocking anybody in my life at all. It's just figuring out where the solutions are to the challenges that I deal with and what I see other people deal with. And the solution requires understanding the problem instead of getting caught up in the symptoms of the problem, which is usually what is the complaint the person's sharing. That's typically the symptom of the problem, not the problem itself. Example is bad behavior. If you don't realize your behavior is causing people to not like you, then it could be in communication. They don't understand what to expect from you, or it could be that you're just so far in your own world, you don't realize the damage you're causing other people, and you're so used to that, you just expect other people to see the world the same as you do. It's an easy default that we have. And next thing you know, it's like you don't know what's causing the problems. You just continue to talk about the problem, like the symptoms of it. Well, I don't know. This person also decided they didn't want to be friends with me, or they betray me, or whatever it is. This person, I thought they were my friend, and then they wouldn't even come pick me up. Stuff like that is an example. It's a small conversation. It's pretty unimportant in the bigger scheme of things. But if you've been in that situation, it can very well tell you something. I'm not saying it's a determinative fact. That's why the person wasn't able to come pick this person up. In this example, it is. But in your life, it might be different. I implore you to not default that direction for the time being, and just accept that particular pattern of thinking instead of getting into, the what ifs and the exceptions conversation. No, because it's incredibly challenging to speak to a large group of anyone and speak about something that's so specifically pointed that people don't try to make exceptions for themselves or others when they're listening to it. Because everything is so dynamic in that sense, and everyone has their own piece of reality. So that relates to, it's actually directly correlated with how does a mentee find a mentor, how does a mentor find a mentee? And it's every single successful person I've ever talked to, they get excited when you show interest in them and what they've accomplished. Not necessarily the bank account. If you want to know and they're willing to share, then, whatever. I think it's tacky. I don't ask people how much money they make or how much they have. That's not a question that ever occurs to me. What occurs to me is that I can see a demonstration from confidence, and then whatever else is around them. If I need to talk about the bank account, it could be that I'm just skeptical about what they're actually doing because I see incongruencies in what the statements have been, and they may be producing a facade. Some people may recognize a certain person by the last name of Lopez on YouTube that's no longer popular, but he was in everybody's feed for a while on YouTube because he made all kinds of radical claims about like reading, I think he said 4 books a day, 30 books a week, something like that. And his numbers changed over time as well. And when you say I read, most people think cover to cover completion of book. Well, he used the Weasley position and said, it's not cover to cover. It is I skim through. I reference 4. That does not mean you read in total, but he's not lying because he's taking more of an attorney approach to it. He's arguing semantics, really. But he's leaving you with the impression he's reading the entire book. Anyway, we get... I digressed, by the way. I apologize. I just went on to that. I'm like, okay, let's fix somebody off the internet. And then I kind of have a little bit more of a challenge and gripe about the gentleman. But back on track with the mentor-mentee thing. And by the way, these are the things that I say I'm failing forward, I'm failing up. It's constant, right? I've got to face the fear of putting myself out there, the ridicule, the peanut gallery, you're not perfection, so why are you even trying crew, right? The group. Typically what you hear from people like that are the ones that are afraid to try it for themselves, or they're in that survival state and they feel that your success takes something from them, whatever that might be. So, and I understand protecting other people from nonsense, but if you listen to the way that I speak, I'm not trying to enroll you in absolute facts as much as giving information and viewpoints to help people think in a way that they come up with new stuff, like the reality conversation. Reality is too big for any one individual to fully comprehend it. But we can share with each other the experiences we have with reality. So anyway, with that being said, back to the mentor-mentee portion is mentors will almost always give you access to their success model. You just have to talk to them. Mentors will. Successful people almost always will, because there's a lot of them, man. They don't want those skills to go to the grave with them. But if you show up and you say, I really want a mentor and tell me how to be successful. Well, how many times would you want to have that conversation and you didn't see the person follow through? Eventually it's like, why do I bother? Because most of it's the grit that is not taught. And what happens is we make statements, like say something like grit. Well, what is grit by definition for you? Both by dictionary definition and by working definition, meaning that it's something that you apply in your life. And how is that as a reality for you? Because when I say grit, I know what grit is, and the way that it is such intense effort that you're pushing through even with doubt, fear, you're clinging to faith that it's going to work out, and you got your jaw clenched, kind of, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going. It may hurt. It hurts emotionally. It hurts physically. It might hurt financially. It might hurt in any way possible. Hurt could represent an experience in life. And they're still willing to push through. It's grit. Whenever a successful person says that, is that the definition that strikes you? Because if that's not the definition that strikes you and you're just like, okay, checkbox that, I understand grit's part of it, it's part of the recipe, and you don't understand exactly how it is a binding agent in the recipe, a catalyst for the progress that happens whenever the other people sit down, because the challenge against success is so great, they would rather sit and just say, you know what, just give me a break for a second. It's the equivalent of throwing in the towel when you're in a boxing match. You keep boxing and you're going to win the match. The other person, forfeits because they stopped. Grit's what carries through. And that's what they're trying to tell you when they talk about the success model that they used requires grit. Long nights. Well, what is a long night by definition to you? There's hours associated with it, but are your seconds accounted for? Just because you have the bulk in hours doesn't mean the details about what you did, how you worked through those seconds is accounted for. And you can have vast differences between multiple people. Because, like a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, is one of my most successful friends, that I knew from where he was when we first met, lowly little director, working for a major, or not a major, but a mid-size gym, fitness company. And, he's like, he told me that where everyone else makes X amount of calls, I'll make that many more. Whenever I go home, I don't go to sleep until after 11 or 12. At the time, he had a family of 3. So he was busy with 3 kids plus his wife, and the guy was willing to work through everything. But here's the thing, and I didn't even think to ask this then. I will now, but I didn't think to ask this then. What are you doing from the time you get home until the time you go to bed? And it's like, okay, well, I'm reading. Well, how many pages did you read? What did you comprehend? And do you do a recap? You want to understand like the details that make the difference. It's not just stay home and read instead of going to the bar and drinking and hanging out. Now, the person that's going to make more progress overall in life in the long run is the one that stays home and does the reading when it comes to making organized success. Unless, of course, that success is in the social environment, which, let's say like Dave Attell or somebody like that. He's a comedian that was famous for, going to bars and then comedy clubs after hours. But very few people are going to find success in that model because it's a very saturated market with a little to interest because of the craps in the bucket thing. Well, Johnny, he would stay up and he would read and he would apply. His understandings and comprehension of the information he was taking in was actually an accelerant to the time spent. So for Johnny, it's every second has a value, not the hour by itself, because obviously the hour has its own cumulative value. So, but if you're like, yeah, I'd just rather sit and read. Well, what are you reading? And then are you trying to read, or are you just kind of passively doing it just to fill it because you want to tell yourself it's good? And that could be a stage for growth, sure. But if you're not with the intent of actually understanding and comprehending the information more so, then you're probably not going to make the same amount of progress. So when people give you these secrets to success, there's details, the devil's in the details. And most people have no idea about how to ask for the details. They just go, okay, categorically, stay up late, wake up early. Fantastic, but what are you doing? Wake up early so you just go sit on the toilet for an hour? Kind of an inside jab, but I made use of the time because of my digestive issue. But point of it is, like, what do you do? So fill in the time with something. So when somebody like a mentor tells you these things, if you don't know how to truly understand what they're telling you, you could burn them out, because when you walk away and go about whatever it is that you believe is necessary to be successful based off what they just told you, they didn't leave that conversation without having some desire to see what they've given you work. They want to see it. They want you to prove them wrong if other mentees have failed. If they didn't want you to prove them wrong that you'll fail, they wouldn't have tried in the first place. So, yeah, whatever, I don't really want to have that conversation. So a very good mentor will offer the information. But the thing is that how many times can a mentor be abused before they're no longer a really good mentor, or they're closed off? Like, I'm not going to bother. So when you meet somebody that has a success model, or you like the outcome that they have, ask them about their success model, but look for the details. So this entire thing was actually inspired. Now, this is not the entire conversation. Today's video was more inspired, but by a gentleman that I'm going to bring up in just a second. But for me, this is something that I have been working on because I do have the mentorship program that I'm building with my company, which the Maturity Project is part of Brochures and Associates LLC. That's my company, and then the Maturity Project and the ancillary things that we're working on there. So, but the mentors, I have to develop a way of caring for my mentors the same as the mentees. There has to be a working model that replenishes them so they don't get burnt out, that invigorates them so that they have more desire to see success, how to get them to want to become a mentee to other mentors, the fall in love with growth and learning model. So that's what we're working on. So those things have been coming to mind because I'm looking at what are the challenges that a mentor has and what are the challenges that a mentee has, their student and the teacher. What are those challenges? So that's what I've been working on. So I'm sharing those insights with you guys now. Some of them, not all of them. But the gentleman that really inspired today's call or today's conversation, he actually had me teared up prior to this. And the reason for it, I feel like it's coming on again. So this gentleman's in Albany, Georgia. His name is King Randall. Now, he's worked with a lot of fatherless kids because he saw a problem in his community. And he figured that the best way to create a solution would be to take this route. And he's teaching kids a lot of basic adult structures and processes to be a successful and independent adult. So like how to change a tire and oil and, how to, start a lawnmower and like all these things. And I'm just like, this guy is doing good work. So King Randall, absolutely support the guy. Everything I know about him, I'm so incredibly grateful for. He absolutely inspires me that the world will be a better place because he's here. And the people that he's working with, I love what he's doing. And a huge shout out to the gentleman. I will put his a link to his channel in the description, because I want to share this gentleman with everybody that checks in on this. And if you are subscribed to the channel, please just look into this guy. He is fantastic. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. Obviously, I really would like to grow it more. It's more about making the difference in the world. That's what I'm after. The money and things like that will come whenever they come. But that's just so that I can grow this more. So my Ferrari is the company, right? My Ferrari is the maturity project. I don't need the vehicle. I don't, that's not something that I'm really after. I'm more after the difference that we can make with this. So now as far as that goes, King Randall, please check him out. It's King and it's Randall. Fantastic guy. Like I said, I will put a link to his channel in the description. The details of this video. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. You know what? I'm inspired by doing good things. And let me, like for the people that are on the channel, tell me what you're up to. What are the good things that you're doing? Something that you're doing to make a difference for others that really is inspiring. Like it doesn't even need to necessarily come across to you like it's inspiring. One of the things that I'm really good at is figuring out how to put a narrative to what we're doing so that we can create something great. So if you don't feel like what you're doing is that impressive, we need every single area of our abilities to survive, to live, really. I like the thrive direction, but the abilities for our species to do well and to learn from our past, we need every single area facilitated. It's like we need good mentors. We need people out there that are giving a better outcome for other people, that are doing this, that they're giving their motives from their heart. Don't worry about the other part of it as far as being taken advantage by, people that are up to things or the ill-suited. Part of my maturity, the maturity project, when it's dealing with the mentors, is teaching mentors how to handle a mentee or how to handle abuse or how to handle being taken advantage of. Is I don't want them to ever burn out, and there's more to it, but there's a structural education that I'm building for the mentors, and then obviously there's that for the mentees as well, but that's an obvious one for most people to understand. The mentor is the one that's typically getting neglected. Just because you're amazing and successful at something, business or whatever, doesn't mean that you're prepared for the emotional effects of being a mentor, because it's not just, okay, I'm going to make this call. I can tell you now, it burns mentors out when their mentees won't even take the effort to make the changes. You don't want to feel like you're doing it for them because it won't work. You want them to do it, or you show them how to do it, but you're doing it with them, and then you'll have them do it on their own. So anyway, a lot more to it. I don't want to continue to babble on, but yeah, let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together. I'm Chad Everett Brochures. I'm the host and creator of the Maturity Project. Share this video with people in your life you want to make a difference with, and make a meaningful conversation, or start one, or to continue one. Share this video with them. Start some conversation around it. And then put a comment in the comment section. Let's talk about the good you're doing in the world. The things that are there. You never know. Might tap you to become a mentor. Never know. All right. Till next time. Remember, we grow through what we go through. Yesterday's failures will be tomorrow's success. All right. Let's get to it. See you.